triangulations, Hausdorff and spectral dimensions. José, I will take you this when you have 5 minutes left.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. So it's of course a pleasure to be here again and talk again to you. So the is a different topic from the last week, and so because I want to relate it with also with the topic of the conference, so I decided to talk about this simplicial complex, but in particular with triangulations. So this just call your attention to this book. There will be a new version of the book soon with added chapters, etc. So okay, so I think I don't need to say more about motivation, about simplicial complex and using these high order interactions. I think Stefano and others during last week already motivate, but in many areas, as you will see, show you some examples. So there are, in fact, a huge interest on using high order interactions in networks. So of course, this is Stefano has this picture in his first slide. So here is by definition what are simplices. So you see, in general, people use, when we are talking our networks, we use one simplex, that basically is links among nodes, and then we can generalize for more complex things like I show here. So when we say a simplex of dimension d, it means that he has, in fact, d plus 1 nodes, and also we also can count the number of edges. So here are two examples of combinations of this in d equal to 2, and here combinations of tetraeders. So you can make the nice structures. Okay. So as I said, so I will talk about this simplicial complex and manifolds. So manifolds here are a kind of are topological spaces that are locally homomorphic to Euclidean spaces like circles, spheres, torus, etc. And so again, this simplex is a d plus 1 clique. So you have d plus 1 nodes, and you have d plus 1 times d divided by 2 number of edges. And for instance, in the case of the specific case of d simplicial complex, it means that you build this simplicial complex basically based on these building blocks that are d simplexes. Okay, so all equal. Okay. So I will show you things that are related with the local structure. So we will look to the local structure, basically to degree distributions, degree correlations, space dimension. That's why I put Hausdorff and spectral dimension. So this is basically what I will show, and of course topology that will appear during the talk. So there are a new ingredient here in this simplicial complex. That is the fact that you can study the topology of these simplices. So this is known, and there are many. I put some, but there are many publications on this topic. So I will pass this. Examples, you know, this thing is very known. So when you publish a paper with a collaborator, so you have a connection, then you publish a paper with other collaborator, another connection, so on and so on. And this is simple, normal connections in on network. But when you have a paper with the three guys, you can say that this paper somehow there is a common interaction among the three individuals, and so that's the idea of the justification to use these simplicial complexes. But there are lots of motivations for that, and especially in mathematics, of course, but also in quantum gravity. People claim that the structure of space and time is you have this beautiful figures, and they can be built by this simplicial complex. And there are some papers about precisely about this topic. But not only here, also in biology, people or in the brain, people claim that there are this kind of interaction. Especially, you can see it here. For if you have pairwise interaction, you see the activity of the activity among these two neurons. You can see it here, but there are cases where you see that when you put it in time, they all show activity in a certain interval of the time, and so this is, people characterize this like they interact all together in this 2D simplicial complex. There are other papers also that showing similar things, so people try to study the brain using these structures, and even you see people made some statistics about these cliques that appear on the brain, and you see that here is 2 simplex, so you see that there is the number of simplices with 2 simplex, that is triangles, and also with the number of tetrahedra, etc., etc. And so you see that they appear, and it's not zero, it is not null, the number of such structures in these studies on the brain. Okay. Some models. Let me go back in time. So we did some work on 2002, where we, starting from a simple link, we go for a triangle by having a node and 2 edges. Okay, and then we studied it evolves in time, and we study this we call it pseudo-fractal scale-free web, and we study this, and we show that the degree distribution goes with an exponent gamma that is given by this relation. That then appear in other situations. We also measure the correlations, probability to have in a link a degree k and a degree k prime, how it goes, etc., etc. And we also study the spectra of the adjacency matrix for this graph, and we saw there is a relationship between the exponent characterizing the cumulative distribution of the eigenvalues with the gamma exponent. So there is a relationship here between these two quantities. This is very old. Then appear a work from someone's here in the room, José and Luciano and others, but that are not here present, where they, for Apollyon networks, they found exactly the same exponent, and you see for nice graphs. In fact, they are famous graphs. Apollyon, they are called Apollyon networks. It's very known in literature. If we want to describe this, of course, we can formulate a simple mathematical theory counting these things, and we immediately arrive to a degree distribution that is similar to k-3, similar to the Barabasi, the Alberto Barabasi model. So no, not much new here, but it's possible to do this analytically. Okay, so in order to proceed, I'm showing here some kind of modifications we can do to our graphs in order to develop triangles, because we are interested in studying networks that evolve. So they are evolving in time, so we have ways to find, for instance, for the case of triangles, ways to find the new triangles. And there are this is known in mathematics, these Pachner moves, also bistellar flips, people call it this way. So you can go from this structure here, from this triangle, to this so you add two new faces, 2 new triangles, you see? So basically you add a new node here in the middle and 3 connections. Or you can do this in one way or the other. You can come from this to here. And there is also this possibility, this rule 2, so let's say rule 2. You have this connection here, so you have 2 triangles that share one link, and basically you can modify it to a vertical link, so kind of rotation, okay? But there are also other elementary operations, and there is this possibility here. So you have, imagine that you have a node and you have these connections to other nodes, and you somehow you split and you create an edge here with this node like divide. You create another node and you put a link here and you create two faces. Okay, so there are simple rules, let's say, to generate faces, and then there are possible way to find any configuration based on these Pachner movements or the other simplifications. You can generate any figure or any triangulation you want. This is another example. So then what we did many different models. So they are here J1, J2, etc. So we call it a zoo. But basically they are, these figures here are the most interesting because you can understand what you do in each case. For instance, G1, you have a triangle, you put a node in the middle and you put three edges. So you pass from one face, as I said before, to this. Another possibility is this case here. So what you do, you go to this link here and you put a node in the middle and you generate four faces, and so on and so on. So you see, there are many models that you can generate, and some of them, as I show, have an analytical solution, others more difficult. These are other two possibilities. This is in higher dimension, so if you want to do, this is G1, is similar to previous, but in the previous you did for a triangle, here it is for tetrahedra, so you put a node in the middle and you generate a new tetrahedra, okay? And you can also do this even for walls. So you can generate walls and you can also study this situation. And we also study this for the case we call E, because in this situation, the network is not growing, it's static. So you start with a certain number of nodes and you apply these rules. So it means that you have, it's conserved the number. If you apply, for instance, the rules of this E1, you see that you conserve the number of faces. So it's a static graph. You simply change things. You add a node and new links, but then you delete them, etc. So you keep the graph with fixed number. Okay. So for the first case, for this G1, you see it's very easy to write down the equation, the mathematical equation for this. So this is, what is this? This is the average number of nodes with degree k, for instance here degree 2, with degree k at a certain time. If we add a node per unity of time, so t is like the number of nodes at a certain point. And so it is the size of the network times the probability of having this. So if you want to describe the average number of nodes with degree k at a certain time plus 1, you have to look for the number of nodes with the same degree at time t, plus the contributions of the nodes that have degree minus 1, but will receive one connection. So we pass from k1 to k minus 1 to k to k. And you have to delete the cases where you pass from, you already have degree k, and you pass to k plus 1 because you received 3 connections. And of course you have to add this term because every time you add a node, you add a one new node with degree specific 3. This corresponds to this node here. This is term here. And where this ratio came from? So you have to understand that you have to look for the probability to choose a triangle with degree k minus 1 in the vertex. So this probability is proportional to the degree divided by the average degree times the probability to have this. But, so what I'm saying, to find a triangle with k, the probability is k divided by the average degree times p kt. But n of kt is t times p kt. So that's why it appears, in this expression appears k, t, n, kt. Yeah, it's because of this. And so you can then you go to this equation, you sum, you multiply by k, you sum, etc. You arrive to the stationary degree distribution. And of course, and in the case k bigger or equal than 3, that is for triangles, you get again an expression, but an exact expression. Okay, it's an exact expression for, like mathematicians like, you know, with that goes asymptotically with k minus 3. Then we measure, you see, we made simulations, and simulations agree. So you see there are 3 decades, so it's very good. It's very good. It's a very good plot in numerical terms. And if you go to cumulative, that is even better. You see that you have 4 decades almost of a straight line, so it's perfect. But of course, the exponent here is different from those by 1, you know, cumulative. We measure degree correlations, and in this case, nearest neighbor, so you take 2 nodes, the 2 end of an edge, you measure the correlations, and this known quantity, you see, for large k is constant. Contrary, so we have a degree distribution that is similar to the Albert Barabasi model, but in the Ayer model there are correlations, and here there are no correlations. So in this sense is different. We also measure this quantity here. What is this quantity? When you have a triangle, for the 2 triangles like this, you have these 2 nodes, and we measure the correlation of these between these 2 nodes. This is what we call k on. K on of k. So is the correlation between a node. What is the probability that a node with a node has a degree k in the opposite in the triangle. And also this quantity has a stationary value. So you see, it's not growing, not assortative, nor disassortative. If we do this for the other model, for this case here, we write the equation, so I'll not explain, but we get k minus 4. In this case, we go for k minus 4. So it's different from when you apply in this situation here, you get a different exponent. And again, you can check and everything is fine, but you have now correlations. So appear, you see there are assortative, kind of assortative correlations for this quantity and also for this quantity in the rhombus, in this figure there. So you see they grow, seems to grow for k large, seems to grow a little bit, not much. So there are not strong correlations, but they grow a little bit. So we can do this, or combinations of these situations from different graphs, and you can of course write down the exact exponent for this situation, so you can calculate this easily. We can even do this for situations where the dimension is bigger than 2, and again you can calculate the gamma exponent, and you see that gamma goes from, when d is infinite, gamma is 2, and when d is equal to 2, gamma is 3, that we already saw before. So it's easy to generalize this situation. And also for other situations, I will not spend time with this. So summarizing, so let's say, if you put all the gamma exponents, we put in some cases infinite. Maybe it's not infinite, the exponent, but these are situations where you have a kind of small world or some exponential decay. So you consider in this situation that gamma is infinite. Other cases we can measure, and we can say that is bigger, numerically it's bigger than 4.5, but we don't have the precise value. But you see, for different models, either these ones or the static ones. For in the static ones, you see the exponent, you have exponential decay, so the exponent is infinite, a part of this one where we have exponent 3. So then I go to space dimension. So you see, it's possible to measure this space dimension using this Hausdorff, and Hausdorff is related with average distance, characteristic distance in your graph, compared with system size. And for instance, for case of small world, because in small world you have this L goes logarithm of n, or even logarithm of logarithm of n, so it's very slow growing. In this case, we have to assume, using this expression, that dh is infinite, because it's very compact network. Yeah. Okay, another hypothesis is measuring the volume. You take a radius and you take the volume that involves a network. You count this volume, or the number of nodes if you want, and then you take this exponent. We use this method because the other one is more difficult to implement. And we got these results. So you see, this is V of R, and you have this for the different graphs, the construction of these triangulations, we have this. And it seems that they are linearly somewhere in this region. So basically it seems that if you take, this is already logarithmic, so it seems that you can take the value of the h. In fact, it's not like so. What we did the derivative of this logarithm against logarithm of R. And what we get? We get some patamars, and of course the patamar is the value of dh. But in some cases you get a clear patamar. Of course we have constraints, because the networks, we use networks of around 2 power 17, 2 power 18, so 10 power 5. So it's not very big networks, but it was what we can use in our computers. And you see, in some cases there are these patamar, then the patamar seems to disappear, and then you have these peaks. We assume when these peaks, when n grows, and if this peak grows also, if it is bigger than 10, we assume that the h is infinite. So we consider that it goes to, in the limit of n large, it goes to infinite. So we in our, yes. Euclidean, yeah, Euclidean. No. Space theory, there are dimensions of the triangles, but you can build something, you see, very, yeah, I would say. You saw this, remember this picture I showed you, quantum gravity? You see this structure, very complex structure, so. But is the radius is real, is space, yes. No. Another way is to measure the spectral dimension. And spectral dimension, see, it corresponds to a diffusive process. You start in a point and you measure this density probability. Usually, this is one way to measure this spectral dimension, but this is related to also to the density of states with again with spectral dimension, but of course the exponent is different, but is related with the previous one. We used this technique, okay? So basically we count the number of eigenvalues smaller than a certain value. It's a kind of cumulative. We sum ones when the eigenvalue is bigger than 0 but smaller than lambda, okay? And we plot it against lambda. Of course, this is more simple because we don't need to know all eigenvalues we need only the first ones to make the. And so you see, this is cumulative, so this line here corresponds to exponent 1, but because this is cumulative, in the dimension of Laplacian is 1 plus 1, so it's 2. So it means that some of these cases have the spectral dimension equal to 2, okay? Other cases, for instance, this case here, you see that is different, or this case is different, so they have different spectral dimensions. So I will finish. So again, a summary of the results. So you have the gamma exponent, so you can have power laws or exponential decay. You can have also Hausdorff dimensions that are very high, or even infinite, but with finite. So in conclusion, this ds is in general smaller than the Hausdorff dimension, okay? And for the equilibrium networks, we found the H around 2 is numerics, and the fractal dimension and the spectral dimension 1.4. And if you remember about equilibrium trees, in equilibrium trees there is a result by Alexander Norbach in 82, and the H is 2 and the S is 4/3, and it compares well with it. So it means it seems that these equilibrium networks fall in the same class of equilibrium random networks. Okay, so I finish here. So basically, this is my conclusion. So it's possible, of course, to do better in the numerically and also analytically, at least in some of the models. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Questions? And meanwhile, please, José, you put your things. Any question? One question.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I have a doubt about the adjacency metrics that you calculate the fractal dimension. Do you have any?
I didn't calculate the fractal dimension, spectral dimension.
Yeah, that is what I mean. So, what means spectral dimension in this case?
You have the spectra of your matrix. You calculate the eigenvalues. You rank them by order, okay? And you see if there are some law behind of it. Yeah?
I have a couple of questions. The first is, the models that you have shown are the only possibility to grow simplices, or it's
possible
so
also
to
to delete. You mean
Yes.
doing the contrary? We didn't make this, but it's possible.
you expect to have the same results on going up and down?
In principle, yes. In principle, yes. In principle, yes. But we didn't make this. In fact, we did for equilibrium and for growing, because we have experience with growing networks.
No, I
More than
understand.
division.
It's just a curiosity.
Yeah. Sure.
Other questions? So if not, we thank a lot José Mendes. And we go to another José.